This video was produced by
All right, everybody, can I have your attention, please? First off, how y'all doing today? Great. Good. I love it. I love the energy. Yes, this is going to be good. You're going to have an awesome time. My name is Marcus Anderson, and I'm actually an academic and career advisor and career and academic planning. And I want to welcome you to the job search deal. Some of the main questions that we're going to answer today is, what are the steps to this whole job search process? Number one. How do I make sense of it? Number two. And the third thing, what the heck do I do, right? That's probably why you're here. Am I correct? Yes, no, maybe so. All right, so just so you know, I am from the South, which is like, I know that's a cardinal direction, but when we talk about America, right, I'm talking about like the southern states of America. I'm originally from Miami, Florida, and we have every place in the world has a different culture and a different dynamic, okay? So I want to introduce you all to the Southern culture, okay? We have a thing called call and response, okay? So call and response essentially is I submit out a call, like, does that make sense? And I expect you to respond with a yes, that makes sense, or a yes, or like, okay, I got you. You know what I mean? Like, or you can do a little fist bump, like, yeah, I love it, right? So when I say, does that make sense? I want y'all to give me some kind of response, some kind of verbal feedback, you know, like some kind of facial recognition that I'm making sense. Does that make sense? Yes, I love it. See? We're going to have a good time. We're going to have a real good time. Great. All right. So, with that being said, there are 4 key steps to the job search process. All right, so everybody hold up to number 4. Just 4. Just, yes, do this with me. Yes, 4. All right, one from we say 4. All right, so there's 4 steps. The first step to the job search process is be aware. The second step is prepare. The third step is identify. And the fourth step is apply and follow up. So please say that with me all together. First step, be aware.
Be aware.
Second step, prepare.
Prepare.
Third step, identify.
Identify.
And the last step, apply and follow up.
Apply and follow up.
Give yourselves a round of applause. You are great set of people. Yes, I love it. I love you. Follow instructions very well. All right, so as I put this presentation together, I wanted to be able to hit some of the major questions of essentially how do we do this successfully, okay? Because everybody says, yeah, you need to get a job, and then you have the pressure of OPT and all these other things like that. I really don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. How do I get there? I just know I need something, right? Is that how a lot of you in here feel? I just need something to get me by, right? So with that being said, these 4 steps essentially will get you through this whole job search swamp, so to speak. Yes, I like that analogy, swamp. Job searching can be a swamp. It's a lot of muck. It's a lot of mire. There are some dangerous things in there if you don't know what to touch and what not to touch. So my job is to be like this Discovery Channel reality TV show host. His name was Bear Grylls. I'm the Black Bear Grylls of job searching, right? So my job is to help you be successful in the wild, right? Does that make sense? Great? Yeah. Great. Okay, cool. So with that being said, we're going to talk about being aware. The first step is being aware. The first thing I want you to be aware of is your strengths as an international student. This is something that works for you all the time, anytime, every single day of the week. The fact that you come from a diverse cultural background, you speak various languages, and the fact that you are here in America and you're being successful shows that you're adaptable. So regardless of the situation, regardless of where we place you in a job, you're going to be successful at it. Does that make sense? So you want to leverage that. You want to talk about that. These are things that you want to be able to articulate in your resume and your cover letter, right? I'm adaptable. I speak different languages. And as well as I come from a diverse cultural background that is not easily understandable, that should be easily overlooked by American standards. Because I come from a different culture and a different background, I see things differently, I can interpret things differently, and I want to make sure that I can make your company successful, so why not hire me? You see how that works? Right? From there, your strengths as a JMU student, or no shade to Virginia Tech, but your strengths as a college student, right? You have inherent strengths by coming here, or wherever you go to school, right? The last one, oh, my bad. Your knowledge of visa guidelines that allows you to be a strong advocate for yourself. So when we had the OPT session earlier, you being aware of those things, you can essentially walk an employer through it. Because, and this is a critique on my culture and being in America, we are ignorant. We don't know certain things that we don't know, right? So the fact that you're able to know the guidelines, know the recommendations, and know how the process should go, you can help an employer by walking them through. Hey, it's not as scary as it looks. All we need is this, all we need is that, and then it will be fine. Does that make sense, right? So essentially, what I want you to start thinking about is, let's start meeting some of these challenges before they become challenges, right? Let me have an answer for the questions that I know they're going to ask me before they ask me. Does it make sense? So it's like, applies to here in America. The first thing is that be assertive and self-promote. We love this as Americans, and we let you know it, right? America doesn't stop self-promoting. Look at all the stuff we do. Gas is now $1.89. We're doing great, right? Our employment rate got down by 0.1%. We are doing great. America, right? That is a part of our job search culture, though. So talking about yourself, lauding yourself, talking about your skills, your attributes, your strengths are things that you want to do in a job search interview. These are things that you want to do in your cover letter. These are things that you want to do on your resume, right? Assert yourself. It's okay to be a little bit pushy. Not pushy, but like pushy. You know, just like kind of like, hey, did you get my resume? Okay, cool. I'm not going to call you back in an hour. I'm going to call you back like in a week or so. Hey, I just want to make sure you got my resume. Does it make sense? This is a part of the job search culture. From there, individuality. In America, we want you to be an individual. We want you to be you, be yourself, and whomever you may be. Don't be afraid to articulate yourself as an individual. Stand out from the pack a little bit. Stand out from the crowd. The next thing is that you want to communicate in a straightforward manner. Just, hey, I want to be able to say, when they ask me a question and they ask me a direct question, I want to be able to give a direct answer, okay? And the last thing is that being self-aware, knowing what your skills are, knowing what your strengths are, knowing what you're able to do, knowing what you're not able to do are all important things of the job search process here in America. From there, you want to be aware and research your area of interest. This is probably the most important area. One of the most important areas, because the more that you learn about your field of interest, the more that you have to talk about in an interview and on the cover letter. One thing I say for all students, and this is just not international students, but every student, I say find your research crush, right? Here's what I mean by research crush. If there's a particular person or writer or publication or something like that that you enjoy, study that thing, learn that thing, find the best pieces and the best works that you can from that one area of interest and that one field of research and kind of get really friendly with it. Get close to it, get intimate with it, because that's only going to help you in the job search process, and that is going to help you when you go into an interview. You can say, yes, I read a page off of George Orwell's book, 1984, and that just completely revolutionized the way that I think, and I want to be able to apply some of these revolutionary tactics to the job search process and to the things that I do for your company. Does that make sense? Find your research crush. From there, talk to your professors. Your professors are underutilized resources. They are more than just they are more than you just trying to get a good grade, but they also become your colleagues after you graduate. So really start to be able to develop those relationships with your professors right now, because they're going to be able to help you in the long run. From there, you want to discover and read blogs and websites from prominent leaders in your field of interest. And the last thing that you want to do is you want to become a context expert in your field. These are all things that you need to be aware of before even starting the job search process. They're going to help you to be successful. Any questions about being aware that I can answer for you? Questions? Was it straightforward? No deep emotional anxieties? Okay, cool. Nobody's freaking out? Sweet, awesome. You ready to go into the prepare? Great. Yes?
We're saying like reading some kind of articles, knowing something specifically. Are you saying like that will help with your searching or the interview process?
Both. So when I'm saying that, so for instance, here's the best way I can tell it to you. So I was working with a student, and she wanted to be able to kind of she was an English major, and she wanted to do something in book publishing, right? And she's like, this is what I want to do. I don't want to do editorials. I don't want to do anything else like that. I want to do something specifically in book publishing. We utilized different websites, and I was able to find different companies as well as guilds that specialize in that area. And she's like, oh yes, I know about this company because they do X, Y, and Z. All that stuff can help you in your search. The more that you learn about some of the prominent companies in your field of interest, the more that you learn about these things, they're going to be able to help you when you do your job search and when you go on an interview. I had another student. I was working with them. I said, hey, when you go to the career fair, what you want to do is you want to be able to know the companies that you're researching. I would say go on their website, go research them, find them out, and then watch any videos. So she did that. She went to a company and she said, yes, I know a lot about your company. I just heard a video from your COO about what you guys stand for and all these different things, and that really resonated with me. And the guy was like, what video? She's like, it's on your website. And he was like, I haven't checked that website yet. She was like, yeah, it was up there last night when I was looking at it. So I was like, wow, that made her stand out. And she ended up getting one of the job offers from that company. Does that make sense?
But isn't it awkward to, like, you're talking about something about their company they don't even know?
That's not awkward at all. That shows initiative. We call that initiative. We call that standing out.
So even though, so there's no harm for like narrow your focus down a lot?
No, ma'am.
For jobs?
No, ma'am. No, there's no harm in it. I think if it depends upon, and some of this we can talk about maybe in a one-on-one session. It depends upon, I think first thing I have a couple of parameters. First thing is like how broad is your search? Because it could be too broad, right? And then when I say narrow, that just means that it gives you more options in a limited space. Does it make sense? And if you're talking about more options in a limited focus and limited space, that's always great. Because sometimes we can think, oh, we want to conquer the world, instead of just like let's kind of narrow this down a little bit more. Does that make sense? Great. Any questions? Questions? Yes.
What kind of companies should we narrow down our focus? I mean, at first we should search a lot of companies. But then how to narrow down? I mean, which one should we choose to do?
Great question. I think for me it depends upon your field of research and your field of interest. I think I would start there. For me, I'm always starting there, especially if you want to get a job in something that you're researching or in something that you're really involved in. I would start there, look at who are some of the leaders in the company, look at who are some of the competitors and different things like that. And then that would then narrow down my search. I'll start to figure out, okay, so do some of these companies have job positions available? If they do, let me check their employment website. Let me ask my professors, hey, do you know anybody from some of these companies that I've been researching? That's what I would do to narrow my search.
I'm not sure about the process of the
Finding them?
maybe you're introduced. I mean the process of the company who contacts if I send the email to them. At first, will they call me?
Great question. Let's talk about that afterwards. This is a little bit more specific, and I'll be able to answer that for you. Great. So we'll move on to prepare. Sweet? From there, prepare your resume. This is pretty much self-explanatory. We just had a resume session beforehand. Some of you were already a part of this, and we also have resume reviews going out. Shameless plug, we do have an alumni table out here as well that you can talk to from a past JMU alumni. You can kind of get their experience too about the whole job search process and anything else that you might need. So the first thing you want to do is you always want to be able to prepare your resume. You want to keep your resume updated. A helpful tip that I always say about resumes is that if you can create one long long working document. Essentially, this is not something that an employer is going to see, but it might be a couple pages long with all your information on it. That way it makes it easy, so when you start targeting your resume to a specific company or corporation, you can just copy and paste and put it on a new page. Does that make sense? That's a lot easier than having 4, 5, 6 resumes and you don't know which one goes where. So that's what I say. I always say create a working document, and then it'll be easier to pull information from there. Next. Cover letter. Learn how to write a cover letter. Know the components of a strong cover letter. A lot of students have problems with this. A cover letter is a really unique type of essay. Essentially, all a cover letter is just your resume on paper, right? Essentially, what you want to do with the cover letter, you want to look at the job descriptions that the people see, look at what they're asking for, and then take everything from that job description, look at it as a question. So you're answering the questions on that job description. Does that make sense? For example, they're saying we're looking for somebody who's organized, right? We want somebody who's organized and has excellent written and verbal skills. So they're asking you, do you have excellent and written and verbal skills? And then you say, yes, I have excellent written and verbal skills. Here's how I got them. Does that make sense? So that's how you write a cover letter. We have cover letter workshops and individual appointments, and we can talk to you and walk you through all these different steps. Also, OIP is a great resource as well to utilize. So if somebody's like, I don't really know the functionality behind this, set up an individual appointment. I'll put my information up here afterwards, and then you can set up an appointment with me, and we can work more one-on-one with it. From there, prepare recommendations. You want to identify 3 to 4 references, and a quality professional reference is someone who can speak to your abilities in and out of the classroom. Usually when people do recommendations, they say, I want to get somebody who's like influential, somebody who has like a big title, you know, the president of James Madison University. I want him to be my reference. But if the president can't speak to your abilities both in and out of the classroom, that might not be a good recommendation. So you want to be able to think outside of the box. I fell into this trap because when I was applying for a job, I had basically one of the second or third people in command who wanted to be a reference for me. So I was about to go ahead and submit that person's name, and one of my old supervisors said, hey, Marcus, you want to have somebody that can really speak to your abilities both in and out of the classroom. Can this person do that? And I said, no, they can't. I mean, they watch me do some things, but they really can't speak to my ability. And she was like, okay, well, you might not want to have that person as your reference. I was like, okay, cool. Help me out because I got the job. So I was like, okay, that's awesome. Works for me. A professor can do this, a past employer can do this, and keyword here, it's important to maintain strong reputation with other members of campus and the community because they can serve as a professional reference for you. Okay? From there, interviewing. You want to learn about the U.S. interviewing culture? First off, be punctual. This is very important. You don't want to be late to an interview, but then again, you don't want to be too early. So too early is like 30 minutes to an hour. You don't want to be that early. I usually say the window to narrow down to get there by is you can get there, let's say, 15 to 20 minutes before your interview time. That's reasonable. And if you get there really early, like me, I'm what you call a chrono optimist. What a chrono optimist is somebody who's always late because they're optimistic on their time. So I'm like, okay, I got 15 minutes to get there. I got 5 minutes. I could do it, right? That's me. So because I'm naturally like that, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to get there an hour early. I'm going to just sit in the parking lot. I'm going to sit in the parking lot, and I might go to sleep because I'm tired because I got up this early to get to this freaking interview. And then I'm going to walk in 15 to 20 minutes early looking good. Like, yes, I was ready for this. I woke up like this, right? So you want to be punctual, arrive 5 to 15 minutes prior to your appointment. Eye contact is expected and it shows confidence. You want to maintain good, solid eye contact. The key word here is you don't want to stare at the person. So let's say we're in an interview and you're interviewing me. I don't want to be like, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, actually, my ability as a because I want to maintain good eye contact. What I can do is, you don't want to do that. That's just awkward, right? The best way I could say for an interview is make it like a conversation. Now that does not mean you don't want to be professional because you can have professional conversations. Make it like a conversation. Just be relaxed, sit back in your chair a little bit, and just relax a little bit. It's okay. If they invited you to an interview, that must mean they really like you. And chances are they really like you, right? Interviewer styles may vary. Some may begin with direct questions. Others may begin with minimal small talk. Remember, it's a conversation. So wherever the conversation goes, just flow with it. Just flow with it. Be like water. Water is very lucid and very flowy, right? That's such a Zen thing right there, right? I felt like I was like, in there, right? So water is very fluid. It's very flowy. You want to be able to flow with the conversation. Yeah, right? The interviewer may do most of the talking or expect the candidate to do most of the talking. And questions regarding age, race, sexual orientation, disabilities, national origin, and marital status are illegal. They cannot ask you those questions. If they do, that's an illegal practice. They can't tell you that. Also, on your resume, you don't have to put that you are an international student or not a U.S. citizen. You don't need to have that on your resume either. So that can come off too. Okay? From there, you want to articulate clear self-knowledge. You want to talk about your career goals, long-term plans, but you want to remain flexible and different things like that. Disclosing your strengths, weaknesses, personality, leadership style, problem solving, and abilities are appropriate when asked. Little caveat to this one. This one is a very delicate thing to navigate because when they ask you, tell me about a time that you were weak in something, you don't want to tell them about a time that you absolutely bombed it, that you just failed, right? Don't do that. You want to tell them about a time that something was a little bit difficult and how you overcame it, okay? So see how that sounds better? For example, Marcus, tell me about a time that you failed. Well, there was this one time, right? Oh man, I was like 15 minutes late. Right? I completely forgot everything, partly because I was drinking last night and, I'm still somewhat hungover. And then, so, how it is, like, you're not drunk, but you're kind of drunk, you're still drunk, right? So, and then it just didn't go well. It just didn't go well. No, do not do that. Stay away from that story. Nobody should know that story, right? So they say, Marcus, tell me about a time you struggled. Well, there was this one time, actually. I had some troubles the night before, and, it was very difficult for me to be able to connect with the group that I was with. But through some creative problem solving and innovative thinking, I was able to connect with the people to create an optimum experience for everybody. All right? Same story. They didn't know all that. Yeah, man, I was drunk. That's why I had a problem. That's right. They don't even know that, right? They don't even know that. So, with that being said, you want to be able to find a way to massage those rougher spots in your interview. There we go. That's a good one. Researching the organization, we already talked about that. You want to study commonly asked interview questions. We have a list of these. We also have an online website called Interview Stream, which is available just for JMU students. And you can utilize that. We have over 50,000 questions on there of most commonly asked questions. Also, we narrow them down to the industry, most commonly asked industry questions, so most commonly asked marketing questions, most commonly asked advertising questions, so on and so forth. And that can help you get used to the whole interviewing culture. From there, you want to enhance your communication skills by speaking up in class, making friends and talking with Americans, attending CAP workshops, watching television, and reading newspapers and academic publications. This is very, very helpful. The reason being is because, as you know, being in America already, there are different dialects and there are different words and there are different things regionally, right? So the more acclimated you can get to whatever part of the region you're in, the better you'll be able to be to communicate proficiently, okay? So sometimes you might need to read a newspaper. Sometimes you might need to talk to that person that looks unapproachable just to kind of see, well, what am I dealing with here? And then go from there. Elevator speech. You want to be able to develop a 15-second description of who you are, your goals and future aspirations. So an elevator pitch essentially is just a real quick glimpse of who I am. That's the best way I can kind of say that. So when somebody asks you a question like, tell me a little bit about yourself, you can pull out this elevator speech, right? Or tell me a little bit about your future goals and aspirations. What do you want to do with your life? You can pull out this elevator speech. It's just something in 15 to maybe 30 seconds, how can I adequately describe myself to an employer or to somebody else? One of my favorite things that I like to say is that passion oftentimes will lead you down different roads and as well as to different opportunities. I say in this elevator speech, you want to be passionate about what you're talking about, whether if it's yourself or whether if it's an industry or something else. In your elevator speech, in this little bit of description of who you are, you want to be able to articulate yourself in a way that is compelling, in a way that's, wow, I want to get, what is that person on? I want what they have, right? So for instance, when somebody asks me, hey, Marcus, who are you? What do you stand for? One of the things that I say is like, well, I'm a person that believes in, I believe in students. I believe in the education of students. I believe that if the moment that you can invest in a student's life, you never know, you might just be touching the future. And that's what I do. I want to be able to know that whatever student that I serve them, that I edified them, and that I advocated for them in every step of the way. That's what I'm passionate about. As you can see, as I was talking, it's like, whoa, like, that sounds really good. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I believe that, right? Okay. So that's what you want to be able to do in your elevator speech. Create something compelling. That's you, though. That's me. I get loud. I get my hand motions get going. My locks start flying. That's my style, right? You got to find your style, though. How is it that you want to convey yourself? How is it that you want to talk about who you are to a person? A simple formula up here is, my name is, I am a whatever, senior, master's student, sophomore in, I will graduate in, I'm interested in whatever it is, a position at whatever the company is, and different things like that. I think this elevator speech can help you in more ways than one. A lot of my jobs that I got and the different positions that I'm in now came because of just simple, hey, Marcus, what is it that you want to do? And somebody networked with me and helped me go from stage to stage to stage. And I think if you know what you're passionate about, if you know what you're interested in, and if you can convey that in a compelling argument, that is going to make you very successful. As LinkedIn says, people like to hire friends. So the more that you can show yourself to be a friend, the better opportunity you will be to get hired. Does it make sense? And also, there's a plug there to use your personal networks. You never know who you might be talking to. Great. So, informational interviews. This is also another important thing for students. I'm sorry there's a lot in these prepare slides because it's a lot about preparation. What an informational interview is just basically you getting lunch or coffee or something like that with a person just to learn more about their career path and their career progression. So an informational interview answers the question, how did you get here, right? Just how did you get to where you are? What did you do? How did you get here? I need to know because I see something in you that I like and I want to be able to mimic that and copy that to the best of my ability. That's what an informational interview does. The focus of an informational interview is more about that person and less about what you want to get out of that experience. It's really more about that person, how did they get there? What are some things that they did? What organizations they get involved in? Like basically tell me about your career story. Does that make sense? And because you're a college student or a master's student or a graduate student, whatever you may be, because you're in college, people love college students. They want to talk to you. Why? Because it reminds them of when they were in college. So like, man, maybe if I can help this person, it might do something good for me, right? So people love talking about themselves. People love helping hopeless college students. I'm sorry. It just works like that. This is the way the world works here in America. So use that. Use it. People want to talk to you. Just go talk to them. Say, hey, I was wondering if we could possibly get coffee or lunch or something like that. I'm just curious as to how you got here and what did you do to get here? Man, I did that with pretty much before I got every job. I went to a person, hey, yeah, I'm about to graduate in a little bit. I'm clueless. I don't know what I want to do. Can we get coffee or lunch? I see something in your career progression, and it just really intrigues me. Would you be interested in doing that? Yes, Marcus. Great, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. That's how informational interviews work. Cool? Does it make sense? Prepare. You want to develop a professional image that's both online and offline. You want to be able to use online resources for suggestions for professional attire. You want to uphold a strong reputation with your campus professors and administrators. This is important when you get a JMU recruiting boot account. We'll talk a little bit more about that, what that means. But these are just some last minute things to be knowledgeable of. Any questions about preparation? Yes.
Sorry.
No, you're
Two
fine.
questions. So 2 questions. First, so you mentioned the practice interview questions.
Mm-hmm.
Where's that again?
Interview stream. So you can access that through Recruiter. Remind me, I'll get you that direct link.
Okay, how you gonna send me email right after?
Yes, I'm gonna give you my business card,
Okay.
and then email me, and then I'll send that out to you.
And the question is about you mentioned that conversation atmosphere.
Yes.
I realized sometimes when I was in the interview, I raised up topics myself. Just answering questions. I mean, we definitely need to answer questions.
Yeah.
But sometimes I raise up topics myself. Sometimes I think it's necessary, but sometimes I feel afterwards it's not a good idea to talk about that at the time.
Yeah. Well, it depends upon the topic, right? If it pertains to the interview. So, for instance, like let's say you're talking and you ask them, well, what's the work culture here? You know, I think that's an appropriate thing to bring up. That might be kind of off script a little bit. But if it's something just completely, so what is there fun to do around here? I mean, that's an appropriate one, but I would ask that towards the end of the interview. It just really depends. I would say in a conversation, you know, like let's go back to the conversation metaphor. Let's say you're having a discussion with me and I just bunny trail off somewhere else. That's kind of rude, right? Especially if you're talking about something, same thing as in an interview. If it's completely off topic, you might want to save that to the end when they ask you, so what questions do you have? And you can say, well, yeah, actually I was thinking about something earlier when you said da, 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 da.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, so you think it's okay to, like, at the end of the interview,
Yeah.
to say something?
Oh yeah, I definitely think it's okay to do that. Now, if you're coming on to your interviewer, like kind of like in a flirtatious way, no, that's never good. But but if it's something like just completely like a little bit off topic at the end of the interview, yeah, that's very appropriate. Now, if your interviewer comes on to you, that's also not appropriate. That's not appropriate at all. If your interviewer like comes off to you in a flirtatious way, that's not appropriate. You might want to be aware of that. So some people do that. Okay, what was that? Okay, that sucks. Yes.
I would like to know whether cover letter is necessary.
Cover letter, whether if it's necessary.
If I cannot write a good one, maybe it's better to apply without one.
Yes, I agree with you. It depends on if the company wants one or not. If the company says we're looking for a cover letter, then submit it. If they're not, then you don't have to submit it. Now, there are a lot of resources out there to be able to help you write a cover letter. And I know at Virginia Tech, y'all have a very, very good career center. So I probably will go to them just to get some fundamentals on how to do it.
But we're not in the Blacksburg campus. We're in Northern Virginia campus. So
Ooh,
There is
yeah, it's a
more
little bit
campus.
different. Yeah, it's a little bit different. I'll give you my business card and I'll shoot some stuff your way. Is that fair? No problem. I'll give you my business card and I'll shoot you some of the activities that I give the students. Mm-hmm. Shoot, by email. I don't mean like I'm gonna shoot it to you. I'm gonna send you an email. I don't want you to think, oh my God, this guy says he's gonna kill me.
Yeah, I just want to make some comments on that cover letter. I had that experience. They told me not the cover letter, that's actually the reference letter, but I did the same thing. It's optional. But actually, when I went to the interview, they asked me, why did you submit that reference letter?
Well, yeah, reference letters are funky. The reason why,
I think the same thing, like, even though they say it's optional, I mean, as long as they mention it, I think it's better just.
well, reference letter and cover letters are two completely different things. So reference letters are more about a person's like recommendation for you. Cover letter is more like, here are my list of qualifications. So usually cover letters I say it's on the safe side to always submit a cover letter just to be safe. But if they're saying, hey, you don't need one, that's fine. But because usually some companies will have you do personal statements or something like some kind of writing sample or something like that to gauge your writing ability. Now, reference letters, I don't know too many companies that are still asking for them, and that's just in my field of interest, because usually they'll send them a survey through SurveyMonkey or Qualtrics or something like that directly. So cover letters, I would say it's always on the safe side to write one, but if they're saying you don't need a cover letter because we have personal statements already geared into our interviewing process, you should be fine. Does that make sense? Cool. Great. Next one, identify. So Identify jobs and internships. There are a couple ways that if you're a JMU student, you can do that. So the first one is through Recruiter Duke. Recruiter Duke is our online website here. And basically, this is the way that employers communicate to our students. If an employer is interested in the JMU student, they utilize Recruiter Duke. I know at Virginia Tech they have a whole nother system, and I'm pretty sure at EMU they do as well. So with Recruiter Duke, if an employer is interested in a student here, they will post a job to our system, and we have jobs on all different interests, fields of interest, and as well as industries. So you can go to Recruiter Duke, and you should be able to find something through that way. The next thing is CAP's online resources. So I'm going to click this link right here. So here in CAP, what we have is we have all these different job search and internship websites. The first thing that we have is just general search engines that you can utilize. The next thing here, which is pretty important, is job searches by major. So if we click here, we have all the majors listed here at JMU. And then underneath each major, like accounting and finance, we have some of the best websites that we accrued to say these are good to utilize on your job search. For students, and if you're not a JMU student, you can get this link and it'll be okay to use. But what we recommend our students to utilize some of these very specific websites, because what it does is it narrows down your competition, okay? Essentially, if we think about it as fishing, you don't want to go to a fishing hole where everybody is fishing, right? You want to go to that nice little spot off the beaten path that not a lot of people are fishing at. Does that make sense? Is that a good analogy? So that's the same thing that you want to be able to do in your job search. Websites like Monster.com, Career Builder, and other things like that, they are good, but they're not the best places to fish, right? So these are some really good places to fish. From there, the next one is Vault. Vault is actually a new resource that we have here. And what Vault is, it's essentially the best way to get started, okay? Vault is the best way to get started. And the reason why I say that here is because it has a lot of great introductory information. You can do information on different industries, different career fields. You can find stuff out about companies and different things like that. I'm going to log in very quickly, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. And this website, unfortunately, is only for JMU students. So if you're not a JMU student, I'm sorry. But I can't remember my password. Oh, that sucks. All right, so I can't remember my password, unfortunately. I'm sorry, y'all. So I'm gonna email it and I'll show it to you later. N21p@jmu.edu. So this is a good website to utilize. From there, our CAP Resource Center. Other ways to identify jobs and internships is you can research potential employers and positions. Obviously, utilize Recruiter Duke. The H1 database is a good one. LinkedIn is also a good one. For JMU alums, there are about 159 LinkedIn groups. So you can join one of those, talk to people, and that's a great way to utilize some of those resources. I haven't checked how many there are for Virginia Tech or EMU. I'm sorry. And the last one is a company website to be able to utilize those resources. From there, you want to learn how to network. You want to tap into the hidden job market. You can network with friends, family members, professors, neighbors, alumni. Essentially, when I say networking, I'm not talking about the traditional way that most people think of networking, like networking seminars or something like that. It's usually these things where people come dressed up like you all are, and they'll have hors d'oeuvres, and they'll walk around, and everybody exchanges their business cards. That is a way to network. That is not the way to network. The way of networking that I'm talking about is just simple conversations with people. I say that anytime a person asks you, hey, what is it that you want to do with your life? That's an opportunity to network. That's an opportunity to connect to a person and be able to find something that may be able to help you in your career progression. So if a person's asking you, hey, what are you planning on doing with your life? They're obviously interested, and you want to utilize that time to be able to talk about yourself. That's when that whole elevator speech comes in, that you can say, well, here's what I'm really interested in. Here's what I want to be able to do. If you know of anything, please let me know. I got a lot of jobs that way, just talking to people and saying, here's what I'm really passionate about. I'm really passionate about working with athletes. I'm concerned about these different things, and this is what I want to do. People are like, well, dang, okay, well, do you want to teach a class? Yes, I would. Who am I teaching it to? You're teaching it to athletes. Oh, wow, thank you. So that is how that works. From there, you want to, I said, limit your competition, go to networking events, view LinkedIn job postings. It's not just about who you know, it's about who knows you and what they know about you. All right. It's not just about who you know, it's about who knows you and what they know about what you're looking for. That's a lot of about and who's. That sucked. All right, cool. Next one. And the last thing is apply and follow up. You want to upload your resume to Recruiter. You want to send your cover letter and other materials to the employer, to your employer contact. And last thing, you want to showcase your information on your LinkedIn profile. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, we do recommend for you to have one. And actually, if you're a JMU student here, we do have a LinkedIn photo booth. So that way, if you want to get your a professional LinkedIn photo taken, you can come to that while you're dressed up. But LinkedIn is a really good resource to utilize. And from there, you want to be able to attend the interview, bring copies of your resume and other supplemental materials. Be confident throughout the interviewing process. Please be confident. I say a lack of confidence shows. It just shows in your demeanor. When you walk in, it's like, man, I don't think I'm supposed to be here. Everybody knows it. Like, everybody knows it. It's like an old saying when they say a dog can smell fear, like they just smell it. The same thing happens. Like, when you're not confident, a certain pheromone excretes in the air and everybody knows, oh yeah, they're definitely not confident, right? So even if you don't feel confident, fake it. Fake it. Just fake it. Just lie to yourself. Yes, I'm confident. Yes, I'm supposed to be here. And I don't care what anybody says, right? Fake it till you make it, right? Just be confident in yourself. We're confident in you, so be confident in you. Does that make sense? Right? Be confident in yourself. And the last thing is come with questions. You are interviewing that person as well. So be ready to ask those questions and have good ones. After the interview is over, you want to send employers an appropriate follow-up correspondence. I say thank you notes are very important, and you want to mail them. You want to get the handwritten kind. You want to, at a couple appropriate dates to mail them is like usually a week or so after. And you want to be specific in your thank you notes, not just, hey, thank you for the interview. All right, have a great day. Right? No, you want to say thank you for the time to interviewing me. I really did appreciate lunch at so-and-so. I look forward to hearing from you soon. That's a great way to leave a lasting impression. If you can't afford thank you notes, like handwritten ones or the ones that you buy at the store, you can easily send an electronic one as well. So those are okay. An email is also a good option, and a personal message on LinkedIn is also a good option as well. I just like I'm old-fashioned, so I like the handwritten kind. It just means something. And lastly, you want to evaluate your job offers, weigh the pros and cons of the offers, make a decision, and what would be the best fit for you, and you can just accept a job or internship. So I'm actually out of time, so I'm sorry, but here's my contact information. You can email me, call me. Email is usually my preferred method. My email address is ander, A-N-D-E-R, 2mp@jmu.edu. So if you had questions or if you like a copy of this presentation, whatever it may be, please feel free to do that. I would love to be able to set up a meeting with you all. Right now, I'm just delegated to JMU students, but for the students who are just attending, I'm more than willing to be able to shoot you any resources that we have available.